Coming up today on Eagle Eyes on Tech, Google has been declared a monopoly. Again, everyone wants to buy Google Chrome as a result of that ruling. AI wants you to cheat on literally everything. We'll get into that fun little bit. 4chan is back online, and Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders theoretically happened. All that more coming up today on Eagle Eyes on Tech. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, north 2 a.m. Good morning. This is Eagle Eyes on Tech. I am Eagle Falcon. We got quite a bit to talk about today, but first, we're just going to quickly knock this one out of the way right away. We have to talk about very, very quickly about the T word, about tariffs. Very, very, very quickly. All right. It's very easy to go ahead and just sound doom and gloom, mostly because the way the tariffs are being done is about as peaceful and subtle as giving death wish coffee to a chihuahua. It's not great, and no one's happy about it. I'm not even gonna go into the politics of it. I'm not going to bother even going my thoughts on it. Here's what I will say about it. Okay. The whole thing with the tariffs is that, yes, things are going to be more expensive. The question is, what is going to be more expensive and by how much? And here's the thing. All right. Here's the thing. Nobody knows. Anyone who claims they do know doesn't know, because at first we had pretty much every single tariff out there is being held on delayed, all because almost every single country is trying to negotiate a better trade deal. All right, so it's all on hold for 90 days, except for China. Well, now China, after going ahead and having what can only be described as a genital swinging contest with the current U.S. administration, after throwing out insane tariff numbers out there, there's now talks to lower said tariffs. So how much more are your computer parts going to cost? I don't know. Is it going to be a lot? It might be. Might it be the exact same it was? It might be. I don't know. Nobody knows. I just included this in here for one reason and one reason only, because everyone is trying to go ahead and spread misinformation. And I'll just tell you this right now. Anyone who says they know doesn't know. I can almost guarantee that, because I'm trying to follow this as closely as I can. And holy cow, what you think is current news 1 hour later is no longer current. That is how quickly this all changes. And also, I'm not going to lie, the fact that Nintendo went ahead and said, yeah, the Switch 2, that price is going to stay the same, even though it's still high, but a bunch of accessories went up. Yeah, it turned out those accessories were coming out of China, not Vietnam, and that's why they went up. Whee! So if that's anything to go by, the price of things might increase by 10 to 20%. Possibly. Maybe. All I know is that, quite frankly, I feel I don't need to cover this anymore until there's some massive breakthrough with this, because right now it is just a ton of people speculating, and they're speculating stupid things. On the bright side, it looks like I don't need to go ahead and try to make a road trip up to Canada to go ahead and buy a game console. So yay, because that was a concern for a while. So we'll have to wait and see. But you know, if you're coming here for more tariff news, I'm just going to tell you this right now. Don't expect any until there is a major change in the tariff situation. But at this time, everything seems to be de-escalating. It looks like deals are being made so that Tariffs are dropped on both sides, both imports to and from the US, and possibly big yay. The big thing people want to know really is just how much is the NVIDIA GPU I don't want going to cost? Because gosh darn it, if NVIDIA is going to go ahead and promise a $300 GPU and it turns out to be $600, I want to know whether to blame the government or blame NVIDIA. We could just split the difference and blame both. Why not? I think that's fair. Here's what's also fair. Google, of course, was declared a monopoly. A new case has resolved that also confirmed that, yes, they are a monopoly, and Google is going back into court for talks about how to resolve the fact that they are, in fact, a monopoly. What's going to happen? Right now, nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going to happen to Google, but, the big talk right now, the thing that looks the most likely is that Google Chrome, the web browser, or at least the division of Google that powers that web browser, I don't know whether that would include Chrome OS. Well, I mean, right now it's just talks. Nobody knows whether it's going to include Chrome OS. That'll be talked about later on. But it looks like the web browser, you know, the web browser that makes up 95% of all internet traffic, you know, that one. It looks like that might be up for sale. So, of course, whose attention do you think that caught? Whose attention do you think that caught? Of course, it's the new hotness when it comes to computer companies that people either absolutely love or absolutely despise. Can you guess? Can you guess what tech company could I possibly mean? What tech company could I possibly mean? One that's either loved or despised. See, I would think your first guess is Apple. But in this case, no, it is OpenAI. OpenAI, the company behind ChatGPT, is looking to purchase the Google Chrome division of Google and use it to create a web browser that is AI first. Yep, that's what we need. That's exactly what we need. We need OpenAI to buy the company that controls 95% of all web traffic. And I do mean this, all right? I want you to think about this for a second. Who here doesn't use Google Chrome? Admit it, to find this podcast, you use Google Chrome. Well, I used Opera. Nope, you use Google Chrome. Opera is a Chromium-based browser that is powered by Google Chrome. Well, I use Microsoft Edge. First off, no, you didn't. Second, Edge is also powered by Chromium. It is a Chrome-based browser. Just about every single browser, except for Firefox and Safari, are basically all Chrome-based. And all of a sudden, you work in the ability for it to go ahead and use... Someone in chat said they use Internet Explorer. No, you don't. Shush you. You do not. Random person in chat saying they use Internet Explorer. There is no way in the year 2025 anyone is still using Internet Explorer. By the way, if you are somehow using Internet Explorer, please stop. Internet Explorer has not been supported in like, God, what, years? Like, stop. All right, now people are trying to say things like AOL and Netscape. All right, yeah, okay, we beat this joke into the ground now. You know what's sad? I could see AOL bringing back their web browser, but it also being a Chromium-based browser. Even the Brave browser, the one that's supposed to be Firefox but better, is also a Chrome-based browser. It's all Chrome. Everything is Chrome. SpongeBob was correct. Everything is Chrome in the future. We're in the future now. And OpenAI wants to go ahead and buy it and integrate their own AI into it. You want to talk about a monopoly scenario? There it is, right there. Like, this is actually kind of scary, especially considering we're talking about OpenAI here, the company that non-consensually skims all the data they can from everywhere. And can you imagine them skimming all the data they can from Chrome? Whoo boy, that could be a problem. Fortunately, OpenAI is not the only one that is looking to buy Chrome. In a blast from the past, Yahoo has also shown interest in buying Google Chrome. I don't know where Yahoo went ahead and got money to make them think they could afford Google Chrome, but apparently Yahoo found a spare billion in the couch cushions, although I think they're about 99 billion short. How much do you think Google Chrome is actually worth if it actually did go up for sale? Like, that has to be massive, right? It'd have to be. Zone in chat says Yahoo still gets enough funding through various ISPs around the world. You know what I think it is? It's all the Yahoo sports section. That's it. 100%. Because I swear the only time Yahoo is ever mentioned is Yahoo Sports. Otherwise, every other aspect that Yahoo has, it's always said negatively. Oh my God, you use Yahoo search? What's wrong with you? Oh Lord, you use Yahoo News? What's wrong with you? Ew, gross. It's only Yahoo Sports. And it's like the go-to. Yahoo Finance actually used to also be a big thing too. Thank you, person in chat. But that's kind of fallen off too. It right now is just Yahoo Sports is just like the go-to. You know, I think Yahoo Sports wouldn't be nearly as big a deal if it weren't for the fact that ESPN is just awful. I know we're getting off on a tangent here because we never go off on tangents here. But in the sports world, I swear, no one ever speaks about ESPN, despite the fact they have their tentacles so ingrained into sports media, you can't escape them. But nobody likes ESPN. They just tolerate it. It's like Spectrum Cable. No one is a willing customer of Spectrum Cable. They just tolerate it. Someone in chat said ESPN, well, it's owned by Disney, and they can't do that in Disneyland. So it's, you know, honestly, I forgot ESPN was bought by Disney. And considering the fact that Disney seems to just absolutely struggle with managing everything lately, you know, all of a sudden ESPN sucking makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah, that actually makes way too much sense. Huh. But yeah, right now the running is, of course, Yahoo, OpenAI. I'm willing to bet as it becomes more official that the Department of Justice requires Google to sell Google. Once that starts becoming more of a thing that is commanded to be done, we will start seeing more and more serious buyers start making inquiries. That is at least how I expect that to go down. So we'll have to see who all steps in. I mean, I'm willing to bet at the very least we see Microsoft make a bid, because of course Microsoft's going to make a bid. Microsoft has had a hard-on to reclaim the old days of Internet Explorer overtaking Netscape forever. They have tried so hard to reclaim their glory years, but they just haven't done it. The only time they've ever had an internet dominance as far as web browser traffic was A, way back in the day, and B, when people just didn't care and Internet Explorer was installed on every machine. Always, forever. That's it. That's the only time they ever had dominance. So, you know, I could totally see Microsoft buying Chrome just to say, ah, yes, internet browser dominance yet again. Oh, it feels good. It's just like back in the day when we killed Netscape. So, for now, all we can do, wait and see how things go. Someone in chat said the craziest thing would be Chrome owned by Amazon. No, that wouldn't be the craziest thing. The craziest thing, and something that would actually, and I do mean this seriously, that would actually be feared, is ByteDance buying Chrome. That would be the craziest thing. Now, considering the fact that ByteDance needs to sell themselves off, I think something would get in the way of that. But man, that would be the wildest thing. For now, we wait, we see what happens. Now, of course, if you think that that's the only bit of legal nonsense that's going on in the world of tech, you would be wrong. As the European Union, who is now thirsty to find some new tech company that they can go ahead and fine, they have found their next prey, because they always do. A European Commission has found that both Apple and the artist formerly known as Facebook are in breach of the Digital Markets Act. Considering how broadly the Digital Markets Act is written, it basically only means that Apple and the artist formerly known as Facebook merely sneezed into a senator's face by accident and will now be charged millions of euros. Now, in all seriousness, the actual thing they're being accused of is that both Meta and Apple were found that they have breached the DMA obligation to give customers the choice of a service that uses less of their personal data. And therefore, the commission has fined Apple and Meta 500 million euros for Apple and 200 million euros for Meta. The fact that Apple actually apparently had the worst fine for refusing to not collect data compared to the artist formerly known as Facebook is kind of surprising to me. Now, I have not gone into much detail on this. I haven't gone into much of this. I mean, you hear that Meta goes ahead and gave users no choice as far as collecting data. Next, you're going to tell me the sky is blue. Oh, yeah, no one is surprised by that. Literally, no one is surprised by the fact that Meta has an option that makes it so that that refuses to put an option in that makes so users can put in less data. Apple, on the other hand, I'm a little surprised they're collecting data like at all. But actually, wait, no, I forgot. We're in the age of AI, which means that everyone's data must be harvested and given to our great machine overlords that will soon control all aspects of our lives while failing to draw things correctly. Because that's just how AI works. It needs all your data, you don't get a choice, and you're going to like it. So yeah, you know what? Actually, the more I think about it, yeah, I'm not too surprised. Someone in chat asked what's worse, landlords or machine overlords? I'm going to say the machine overlords because eventually landlords will not be allowed to own property. And in fact, generative AI will go ahead and control all lands and all apartments. So when you go ahead and put in requests, it'll be responded to immediately. However, the AI will hallucinate and kill you along with whatever request was made. So if you go ahead and want your towel rack replaced, you will find your arm ripped off and shoved where the towel rack was. Was that enough of a horrible way that AI would make a far worse landlord than what you have right now? Just remember, if you're creative enough, you can find a way something can be worse. So we'll just have to wait and see how this all goes down. I mean, realistically, 500 million you're starting to get out of the territory of chump change for both of these companies. I have no earthly idea if in fact this is going to be enough for both of them, you know? It's going to be a tough call. Well, they might just appeal. We'll have to wait and see. Or, you know, this will be the only thing we hear about them. Meanwhile, oh wait, no. There's no way I can cover this next topic in only 4 minutes. So we're going to take our first break here. When we come back, we need to talk about Discord. We need to talk about Discord and the fact that their CEO has stepped down. Don't go anywhere. We will be back. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. Amigo Falcon. All right, so we've been covering Discord for quite some time. Its pros, its cons, its flaws, its downfalls. One thing we've been talking about for quite some time is the fact that it was painfully obvious that Discord has been trying to figure out ways to generate more and more revenue, not just to support their own team, but clearly to go ahead and have themselves appear as though they are in fact turning a profit. The main reason you'd want to go ahead and do this is, first off, turning a profit is nice, you know, making sure you don't go further into debt to keep your company alive. Important thing. But the thing is that it's more than just trying to make sure that the end of the year number is a positive one. It is clear that they were planning to go public. That was clearly the point. They were looking to go for what is known as an IPO, an initial public offering. All right. This means they have Discord listed on the stock exchange, which then also means that Discord is then now they are required to go ahead and make sure they are as profitable as possible as an obligation to their shareholders, which then usually comes at the cost of user features. If you're a user of Discord, you've noticed this. The constant watch an ad to go ahead and get a cosmetic thing, the harder and harder push to pay for Discord Nitro, all the multiple tiers of Discord Nitro, the shop now for cosmetics, etc., etc., etc. You can probably name even more than I've just named, because usually when a new monetization feature comes out for Discord, I try to shove it out of my brain because I have a grand total of $2 in my wallet, and they're really comfy in that wallet, so I don't want them to move from there. Also, there's a $450 Nintendo Switch that I'm probably going to have to get eventually for the stream, which may or may not go up in price because everything does. That's just my life now. So with this background, with the background that clearly Discord is getting ready to set up for an IPO, well, we have some bad news. It is the fact that the current CEO, who is one of the two co-founders of Discord, is stepping down. And this isn't one of those kind of stepping down like, oh man, he's been found to have been doing some scandalous stuff and it's a big blow up. Ooh! No. There is nothing like that. It is very, very, very blatantly obvious what this is all about. The co-founder of Discord, aka Jason Citron, is stepping down because they want to get a CEO in place who has more experience with bringing companies, or well, with companies that are publicly traded. They are bringing in a man by the name of Human Saknini. This name might actually ring a bell. And if it does, you know it's not for a good reason. Because Human Saknini was one of the right-hand men of Bobby Kotick, the former CEO of Activision Blizzard. In fact, Human Saknini was the CSO of Activision Blizzard King. We got one of the guys responsible for microtransaction games you already have to pay a base rate for, and $60 game skins, and many other predatory monetization methods, to now be at the helm of Discord. By the way, just for extra funness, he has also apparently been the president of King from 2019 to early 2022, according to TechSpot here. King, if you don't know who King is, they're also part of Activision Blizzard. It's actually Activision Blizzard King. King is basically known for one game and one game only. Candy Crush. Yeah, this is the guy who is now about to be in charge of Discord, one of the most beloved messaging applications out there. I'm not gonna lie. This doesn't look good for the future of Discord. Okay. And I'm not saying that as like, oh man, I've reported terribly on Discord before, and so of course I'm going to go ahead and rip on them now. Oh, you were always a fan of X, Y, and Z. I, in fact, actually got into a huge beef online with a bunch of nobodies who kept trying to shill for a Discord competitor called Gilded, which, as far as I'm aware now, has been completely defunct because, they just didn't bring anything new to the table. And actually went ahead and said, hey, look, Discord's big out there. It's the go-to platform and it has the most users. You're going to go where the users are. That's the only thing Discord has going for it right now. It's the community. And if you go ahead and give those communities a reason to go ahead and say, you know what, we're going to go ahead and go off to greener pastures because they're not going to go ahead and look like an early 90s pop-up farm telling you, congratulations, you won. Click here to go ahead and pay $5 to claim your prize. Or whatever the flying flock you want to go ahead. Can you imagine if Discord got a battle pass? Like, just think of all the ridiculous, stupid, predatory microtransaction nonsense that can be integrated into a service like this. I want to be wrong. I want to be clear about this. I want to be wrong. I want to pretend that Mr. Human Saknini, who I probably am mispronouncing but don't really care enough to, I want to believe that maybe he will go ahead, find a way to have Discord run absolutely flawlessly and continue to keep a monetization method out there that is not too intrusive, but still keeps Discord profitable. Keep in mind, Discord still is a company. They still have developers. They still have to pay said developers. Someone in chat says that it's pronounced human sock meanie. That's going to be the meme. I know that they're joking, but that's probably going to be the meme. Maybe things will be well. Maybe they will, but I got to look at the evidence. And what's on the table right now shows that, there's not a whole lot of hope for Discord's future. I think just about almost every single Discord user knew that if Discord went public, it was a death sentence. Oh, the person in chat said that was the closed captioning system that heard me say a human sock meanie. If things go exactly as I expect they will, that's going to be his name now. That's just it. It just works. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how things go. I want to be wrong. I really, really do. But there's a decent chance that just every single streamer community out there, every single gamer community out there that uses Discord, we might have to go ahead and look elsewhere for our things. I know one Discord server I'm in started talking about the possibility of exiting to TeamSpeak. Can I just say this? All right. Gamers are going to go ahead, and if things go south with Discord, that just becomes an unusable, hyper monetized pile of trash. Gamers are going to go ahead and go to whatever the cheapest option is because they're already going to get milked for $100 games. It's already going to happen. All right. They're going to go for the cheapest option. It's not going to be TeamSpeak because all TeamSpeak's been doing is saying on Twitter and whining like a little baby that people are choosing Discord over themselves. When TeamSpeak servers are free if you only have 32 people or less, and start charging after that. To put that in perspective, my Discord server, and I'm just a small nothing streamer, our total is in the 90s. Like 32 users is nothing. That is just absolutely nothing. So we'll have to wait and see what ends up happening with Discord. Maybe things will go well, but I kind of doubt it. I just doubt it. By the way, you know what else I doubt? That Windows Recall is going to be good. Windows Recall is finally being rolled out. It is now out and available. You can download it. You do have to opt in on it, and it is only available on Copilot Plus PCs. So if you went ahead and you have an AI-capable laptop, desktop, or whatever, and you have Windows 11, you can, in fact, download a piece of spyware that makes it so that Microsoft will take screenshots of your computer at all times, and it'll do something with it that'll help. Don't enable this. Just don't. If you don't like the fact of Microsoft installing spyware on your computer, embrace Linux. Embrace the Penguin. Just do it. Just turn your Steam Deck into your primary PC. Also, I'm just going to say that both of my computers, despite being high-end and able to go ahead and handle modern tasks, are considered too obsolete for Windows 11, let alone be Copilot Plus PCs. So take that. Obsolete PCs for the win. Take that, Microsoft. So yeah, if you get an option for Windows Recall, just don't enable it. Don't. Now, some people are saying that you can, in fact, uninstall Windows Recall from your PC. If you can, you should do it. Not because you just don't want it. You should uninstall it out of spite. It's not going to do any good for your computer. It's a way for Microsoft to spy on your computer. It doesn't matter whether you leave it off and just leave it there. No, if you can, uninstall it out of spite. Because we announced loudly and proudly, no spyware on our own computers. I'm telling you right now, once I can no longer use Windows 10 on my PCs, and I am able to, both these computers are being migrated to Linux. That's just all there is to it. Because there's just no way I'm going to say, yep, yeah, Windows spyware. That sounds fantastic. And so, yeah, that's out there. Keep an eye on that. Meanwhile, though, speaking of big tech companies, Mark Zuckerberg, apparently considered at one point during an interview, revealed that he actually considered doing a full reset on Facebook. And by a full reset, I mean deleting the connection of everyone's Facebook friends. Just doing a complete wipe of everyone's friends' connections. I had to do a double take to make sure that this was not an Onion article or a Babylon Bee article or a hard drive article. I had to make sure this wasn't a parody. Nope. It is not a parody unless TechCrunch got absolutely fooled. But yeah, this is apparently found during, it was part of the first day of the government's antitrust trial against Meta, that he once considered deleting everyone's Facebook friend connections. Oh yeah, they should. I say this as someone who doesn't use Facebook. I do post clips on Instagram through a third-party application, and that's it. But honestly, do it. It'd be hilarious. I would find it hilarious watching every single person who is just terminally hooked on Facebook trying to scramble around and trying to find all their Facebook friends again. Like, this would not be a good business decision. This would not be a good user decision. But holy cow, it would be a fantastic decision for me watching the internet explode while eating a bowl of popcorn. It'd be a fantastic decision for that. Someone in chat asked, do you think they'll make Windows 10 eventually unusable? Yes. Every single Windows version eventually gets no longer supported. And as support goes away, features of the operating system stop working as compatibility layers move on to newer versions that Windows 10 just doesn't support. It's the same reason why you basically cannot run Windows 7 anymore, or Windows Vista, or Windows XP, or Windows 2000, or 98. Things just don't work because they move on to newer standards. So, like, for example, my systems all run Windows 10. Windows 10 support ends, I want to say October 10th of this year. I want to say that's the date, but I'm not 100% sure on that. It's either October or November. It's going away. That doesn't mean that right then in October, that is the drop dead date for Windows 10. There will still be critical security updates and whatnot. Someone in chat says it's October 24th. That could very well be. But in any case, there will still be like some critical updates if there's something like absolutely dire found, like a backdoor that could make it so that a massive botnet with all the Windows 10 PCs was found or anything like that. things like that will still happen, but for the most part, nothing's going to happen immediately. It's just going to be several years down the road when like new DirectX versions are out, or new drivers are out, or new website protocols are out. You're going to start seeing that Windows 10 just doesn't get support for those anymore and just doesn't work on those sort of things. That's what it's going to eventually mean. So it's not like directly on October 24th, your Windows 10 PC is dead to the world. But it is about time you start considering a way out. And in my case, it means new hardware or Linux, which is, not going to lie, probably going to be Linux. Especially since my people that I usually get computers from, they have exactly no desktops right now. None, zip, zero, nada. They have a handful of laptops, some thin clients that have Windows on them for some reason, and that's about it. So yeah, that's what's going to happen with Windows 10. Yeah, fun fact: my PCs don't complain about Windows 10 at all, just because my computers are not compatible with Windows 11. So it's not going to go ahead and tell me you need to update to Windows 11 right now. You won't let me, because you think that 212 core Xeons is too low end for your world. You just don't like it. And what, 64 gigs of RAM and a 4060 Ti? That's too low end for Windows 11. I'm too inferior because I don't have a trusted platform module 2.0. Yeah. Thanks, Windows. Thanks. Getting back to Facebook, though. Facebook is going to be cracking down on... You're going to love this. Facebook declared they're going to crack down on, get this, spammy content on Facebook. I want you to think about this for a minute. Facebook, the company that has come out and said that they want to make AI chatbots be friendable on Facebook, the company that went ahead and made a large language model and encouraged people to make content using generative AI, the ones that have helped perpetrate so much of the AI slop we deal with today, is going to crack down on the spammy content on Facebook. My brother in Christ, you're the reason why there's spammy content on Facebook. Have you ever thought about for a minute, you absolute buffoons, that maybe, just maybe, trying to go ahead and get everyone to switch to using generative AI might be the reason there's so much spammy content on Facebook? No. Can you imagine if something like OpenAI made an image generator and then complained that people were using the image generator? Wait, no, that did happen. Yeah, I think AI companies might actually be stupid. The evidence is starting to grow that AI companies actually don't know what in the actual heck they are doing. Like, we've strongly suspected this for a while. We've kind of like jokingly, haha, they don't know what the heck they're doing. I think there actually might be real evidence mounting now that AI companies actually don't understand what on earth they're doing. They just say they do, but they really don't. But yeah, good luck, Facebook. Good luck with your plan to get rid of your own problem. We're going to take a break here. When we come back, I want to talk about another AI program that is creating a problem that doesn't realize just how unself-aware it is. And also, of course, we have to talk about 4chan. We have to. It's just, you just have to. We'll be back. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. All right, so we need to talk about Cluely. So, Cluely is a thing that exists. Cluely is an AI startup, and it advertises itself as an invisible AI to allow you to cheat on everything to go ahead and do the basic thinking for everything you do. And here's the most wild part. All right. Its main selling point, the thing that it was advertised to do, its big selling point in its own ads, was to be used discreetly in a pair of glasses on a date to tell its user how to lie correctly to their date. If you ever wonder for a moment where we went wrong as a society, where mistakes were made, this is it. This is where we went wrong by creating a tool and trying to mainstream a tool where its whole thing is to use generative AI to cheat on your job, to cheat in relationships, to cheat on meeting. Even the thing on their main page has invisible AI to cheat on sales calls, meetings, conversations, and it just keeps cycling through. That is their selling pitch. I also like the fact that their About Us just says their manifesto. Just in case you were concerned that there might be a sane person on this team. No. There isn't, because they spelled About Us as manifesto. Folks, no, just don't. That's all I can say. And they try to go ahead and justify this by saying, well, you can go ahead and use AI and people will call it cheating. But so was the calculator. So was spell check. So was Google. I hate to break it to them. We still call using a calculator cheating. And I would argue the overabundant use of the calculator has actually made us worse. I want you to think about it for a minute. When was the last time you did anything beyond basic addition on not your smartphone calculator? Yeah, we rely on that so much. And one person in chat says to spell out 8008S or 5. Yeah, good job. Their entire thing is to say that every time technology makes us smarter, the world panics. Then it adapts, then it forgets, and suddenly it's normal. First off, it's not. Yeah, we have a calculator next to us at all times. That's true. But at the same time, it has in fact made us worse at math. And now we let it just do all the thinking instead of just be able to do basic stuff on the fly. Spell check actually is a technology that we have to correct ourselves often. And Google, most of the time, people use Google, the search engine, as a way to confirm things we know. This is completely different because their whole thing is all about letting AI do all the thinking for you. The difference between a calculator or spell check or Google is that you still have to put thought into using the tool. You still have to know the order of operations to get the correct answer on a basic calculator. You still need to know the order of operations. Something that if you ever go on Twitter and find a math thread, you see that people don't know the order of operations and come to the wrong answer when calculating things. All the freaking time. And come on, how many times on your phone have you had to go ahead and correct your autocorrect or correct your spell check? They are talking about using their AI to have it do all the thinking for you and come up with the optimal way to do everything in your life. You are basically talking about trying to real life bot. In the MMO world, there's a thing called botting, where you go ahead and have a computer program play the game for you while you go ahead and do something else. That is basically what Cluely is trying to do here. It is basically trying to bot for you in real life. And all you got to do is just put in the bare minimum. And in the end, it's just going to go ahead and make it so that you cannot think for yourself. I hate this program. I hate the very thought of this. This actually might be what an AI dystopian future looks like, is this Cluely program. I'm actually curious what other people think about this. Does this sort of program have a future? Does the thought of going ahead and being able to get the exact way you should proceed via generative AI sound like a good idea? I'm curious what people think. I'm willing to bet the overwhelming majority would say no. But what do I know? I'm just some guy in the Midwest. So we'll wait and see. By the way, YouTube has once again replaced its UI. By the way, people don't like it. Moving on. 4chan is back. Surprise. All right, so we didn't do a breaking news episode for it because it was at the early stage of the week, and we didn't get any further information. But 4chan went from 503 not found to a black background with white text saying "see you soon." All right, now it was at that point we had the answer of whether 4chan was coming back or not. It was debatable just because the current administration of 4chan kind of seemed like they were just keeping 4chan in a holding pattern and just kind of just raking in what little money they could off 4chan rather than do anything to advance it. We now know way more. Now, I went ahead and made a breaking news episode regarding this. If you want all the details and this entire blog post read out, I would recommend going and checking out that episode. That was just made a couple of days ago, but basically here is the lowdown. They acknowledge that there was a hacker using a UK IP address. That does not mean that the hacker was in the UK. It just means that their IP address led there. And they exploited an out-of-date software package on one of 4chan's servers using a PDF attack. By going ahead and using a modified PDF with a payload on it, they were able to take and gain control of one of 4chan's servers, but it was a server that had the primary database. The thing you have to know is that 4chan, being the fact that they hold such wonderful boards that people love, like Poll, or Politically Incorrect, and B, or Random, advertisers don't like advertising on 4chan, even though there are plenty of boards that are perfectly fine. It's just that there's a handful of boards that are not. Also, D is not a family-friendly board. Do not listen to chat. You are going to see things on D. That is very much a not safe for work board. Might not be safe for private either, but I digress. One of the things that was revealed in this blog post is the fact that 4chan's infrastructure, as we suspected, is hilariously out of date. In fact, they are still using servers from the original founder, Moot. Moot, who has a real name that I forgot, sold everything to the current owner and got out of the 4chan business after founding it, and basically sold them all the servers that run 4chan. Okay? These servers are ancient. Like, if I had to guess, I'm willing to bet they are 2007, 2008 servers. These are old servers. Way old. Okay? Ancient technology. And in fact, because of the advertising problem, 4chan had pretty much struggled for a long time to go ahead and update the hardware. And of course, they need to update the hardware before they can start updating the software. Mainly for the whole thing I mentioned earlier about how I'm sitting on older desktop computers and can't update to Windows 11. So I may have to, and I actually was during the break, looking at newer hardware to upgrade to. 4chan was doing the exact same thing. They got enough money, they were starting to go ahead and do the migration, but of course, because 4chan is basically a passion project and not really a project done out of profit, there's only so much time that the administrators have to migrate everything to the new servers. And basically what ended up happening is they ran out of time. There was a vulnerability. Someone discovered there was a vulnerability. It was a rival image board. And of course, they shot their shot. Because who doesn't want to take the credit for being the big bad who took down 4chan? The dreaded hacker, the infamous hacker 4chan. When in reality, it's just a bunch of guys that don't even turn a profit. But the servers are purchased now. They are, in fact, moving things over. PDF uploading has been disabled until the migration is done. And unfortunately, one of the things that will not be surviving 4chan's resurrection, unfortunately, is the F board. For those who are uninitiated and don't know what the F board is, that is the Flash board. The board where people upload Flash videos for all to enjoy. They said that Flash is never going to come back because they have no way, because there's no support anymore for Flash, to guarantee that there will be no attack done with an SWF file. So that's it. No more Flash board for 4chan. So here's my thoughts on this. It is good to see, because I'm not a very active person on 4chan. Like, not in the least. I go on there from time to time, see how things are, see how the boards are doing, going, yep, Pole, are you still horrible? Yep, you're still horrible. All right, moving on. Hey, G, do you want me to still install Gentoo? Yep, you still want me to install Gentoo. Moving on. Hey, video games. Are you guys still making fun of the fact that Skyrim's on everything? Yep, you still are. All right, moving on. You do those sort of things, right? You go ahead and see how the image board culture is still doing, because 4chan is still one of the biggest ones out there and one of the longest lasting ones. And it is good to see that, in fact, it's not that the current owner just doesn't care about 4chan. They do. They just have a life to live. And on top of that, they don't really make a whole lot on the website, which I think deep down, every 4chaner kind of knows. You're not going to make a whole lot running this sort of operation. So personally, I find this is a good thing that, in fact, yep, 4chan is still alive and probably will be alive for quite some time, because contrary to what I believed, the owner does care. The current administrative staff does want 4chan to keep going on. They didn't, as I originally assumed, just had 4chan a holding pattern forever. So to that I say, fantastic. Great stuff. Huzzah, huzzah, huzzah. So 4chan's back. A bunch of people are going to say this is a horrible thing, and are going to be like, oh man, the internet's now a worse place because 4chan exists. I would argue the world is a better place because 4chan exists. You want to know why? We know where all the crazy people are. They're right there. They're right on pole. And they can stay there trying to find the flag. Honestly, that's one thing that, real talk, Pole actually trying to, going ahead and finding the "He will not divide us" flag way back during Trump's first turn, watching thread after thread of those lunatics trying to figure out exactly where this stupid flag is was way more entertaining than anything else. I'm not gonna lie. That was incredible. Even though I disagree with almost all things that Pole stands for, watching those idiots track down a flag and track down that flag in shockingly effective time. It was incredible. Shifting gears drastically, Gigabyte has in fact confirmed there is a problem with their RTX 50 series cards, and it is in fact that thermal gel can just leak out of the cards and cause thermal issues. Wonderful. Now, they are insisting that this leaked thermal gel on their GPUs will not affect performance at all. All right. For those of you who are not very computer savvy, but are car savvy, and there's more of those than you'd think, okay? I want you to answer this question. Your radiator is leaking coolant. Do you think this will affect the performance of your car? The obvious answer is yes. It will in fact affect performance. Now granted, this isn't exactly the same because there is still going to be thermal compound present. It's just that some of it is oozing out. It means that the amount that's applied is shifting. That means more can leak out. And it does mean that what was originally applied is now no longer applied in the way that it was from the factory. Now, of course, people in chat are asking the one very important question: is it conductive? I'm going to go on a limb and say no, because if it was conductive, this would be a far bigger deal. Because some people have reported that this thermal gel has gotten into the PCI Express slot. The PCI Express slot that can move 75 watts. If it was conductive and it was able to bridge signal conductors that would first off send bad signals and therefore cause critical errors, or worse, send 75 watts over a low wattage signal wire and cause catastrophic damage to the motherboard, we would hear about it. We would hear a lot of people go ahead and gripe about that, because that would be a massive, massive, massive deal. So I'm going to operate under the assumption that it is not conductive. All right. Assuming under that, having less of a thermal compound there still means that it's going to affect heat transfer in some way. More than likely, with now less thermal gel there, it is not going to conduct thermals properly. It is in fact going to run hotter now because it can't dissipate that heat. That is the first assumption. There is also the possibility that they put too much on, which would explain this and is equally likely, and that actually losing some of it may actually have thermals be better. Because this kind of thermal pads, these thermal gels, these thermal compounds, they're not as conductive as metal. And now having less of that material making a connection between the piece that it's supposed to make connection to and the heatsink is better for thermals. So to say that it's not going to affect thermals, that's untrue. It's either going to affect it very, very poorly, or it's going to make it slightly better. But to say it's not going to affect overall performance is a lie. It is going to affect performance somehow. You, my friend, are just trying to save face. And you know what? I mean, I'm not going to lie. I partly don't blame Gigabyte. They're just trying to make the best situation they can out of this. If this was a highly profitable card that people wanted, it'd be one thing. But they're forced to sell the 50 series because of their partnership with NVIDIA. And nobody is happy about the 50 series. Anyone who knows anything about the 50 series is not happy about the 50 series. Because you are either paying way too much, or you're concerned about having a house fire inside your PC. You're worried about one of the two. Or, paying too much. It's just, or, just not fine it at all. This entire GPU series from NVIDIA, this might be the worst launch of GPUs NVIDIA's ever had. Can you think of a GPU launch that was worse for NVIDIA? I don't even think Fermi was this bad. And Fermi was a power-chugging, heat-generating mess. It somehow generated more heater than an electric heater, while consuming more power. And of course, the wood screws meme from Fermi, oh man, they'd never live that down. Fermi was a mess. This might actually be worse. Good job, NVIDIA. Good job. Have fun with all that. The Nintendo Switch 2 pre-orders theoretically happened. Pretty much every single major outlet except for Amazon opened up their pre-orders to the Switch 2, and they all sold out once the smoke cleared. Every single online website basically crashed. I actually did try to pre-order one. I failed. People are saying Target handled it the best. I think those people are smoking something illegal. The Walmart list and wait failed. The Best Buy wait list failed. Target just instantly died. The GameStop website instantly died, although at least GameStop said, hey, if you still want pre-orders, you can go ahead and check out our stores. Those sold out pretty much instantly as well. So everyone trying to go ahead and say that, hey, this is too expensive and no one's going to buy it. Someone bought it. The question is, what percentage of those people are gamers that actually plan on using the Switch 2? And how many of them were scalpers? Right now at this time, we don't know. We do know that US retail outlets are trying their best to detect bot placed orders and canceling them and trying to free up some of the inventory they have. But, I wouldn't get your hopes up. If you were like me and you tried to get your hands on a Switch 2 before launch and trying to beat whatever T-word apocalypse is coming around, you're probably out of luck, just like I am. You and I, we're just gonna have to deal with whatever T-word apocalypse pops up after the dust kind of settles and the second, third, and fourth waves of Switch 2 orders come in. Granted, by then there'll probably be some games that are actually interesting to buy, rather than just assuming there will be. One other thing to note, and it's unfortunate, is that on some pre-order pages that leaked out, it does appear that almost all third-party games are using the key cart method, in which it's just a validation key on the game cartridge, and you have to download the main game. Just about every single third-party game, except somehow Cyberpunk 2077. Cyberpunk somehow got their entire game on the cart. Nobody else did. I'm not gonna lie, like, I thought that the key cart was just gonna be like, oh, it's just an option for people who want to go ahead and have a bigger game than what can fit on the cart, because they're probably going to use 32 gig carts. They're not. They're using 64 gigs. The Cyberpunk confirmed it, that they got their entire game on the 64 gig cart. So everyone else couldn't figure out how to get their 32 gig game on a 64 gig cart. Good job. Good job. Thanks for that. So yeah, I'm not thrilled, but I'm not gonna be like, there's a lot of YouTubers out there that are just like, this is the worst thing Nintendo ever brought to us. It's not great, but man, you idiots let that ship sail 3 console generations ago. We've been dealing with that since the PS3. Hate to break it to you, it's been a thing for a very long time. Sorry. I'm still on the fence whether I'd want a key cart or just download the digital game, and it might just be a situation where just download the digital game is better. And I'm not gonna lie, that's unfortunate. It does also, as those same whiners say, yeah, it does mean that you basically have very little control of the game, because the moment that the servers go down for the Switch 2, that's it, done. Poof. The end. I do feel like, just out of principle, I think that actually might be the way I go about it. If the choice is between a key cart and just downloading the game digitally, I think here's gonna be my order of operations. All right. First, is the game available on Switch on cartridge? Then consider, is it available on PC? Actually, no. Is it available on PC? Then can I get the full Nintendo card on it? Then can I download a digital version of it? Then is the only method available the key cart. I think that might be the only way I go key cart, because I just don't see the advantage. I just really, really don't. Because I'm going to download the whole game digitally anyway, and the actual like boot cart has no actual game on it and doesn't actually save me any storage on the console. What's the point? So yeah, that is the Switch 2. It looks like so far those thinking it was going to be just like the Wii U. Right now it looks like no, it is in fact going to be a successful console. It is not going to be a repeat of the Wii U for now. Someone in chat said there's definitely going to be an upcharge for the key cart. And if that's the case, then yeah, you're just going to get the digital version, because there's no reason not to. Someone in chat says the problem with the Switch 1 carts is that there's very little space on the cart, and it sounds like the same issue with Switch 2. There's 64 gigs on the Switch 2 carts. Cyberpunk 2077 confirmed that the Switch 2 carts are 64 gigabytes. Capacity on the Switch 2 carts is not an issue. Not if you have any kind of optimization, especially with the size of most Switch games. Like that is the biggest eye-opening part about this. When the only third-party developer that manages to get their cart on the cart and no one else can, yeah, what is Indie Farm Simulator's game's excuse? What's the 30 gig little indie project's excuse? What's Square's excuse? Yeah, you're not going to tell me Story of Seasons is greater than 64 gigabytes. It's not. You're not going to tell me that like Dragon Quest 2D 3D remake is over 64 gigabytes. Yeah, no. It's not a limitation with the cart. It's a choice. It is a choice that I strongly disagree with. Because let's say, like, if it's a $10 difference between the physical game and the digital one, I would much rather pay the $10 extra for the physical game. Heck, I did it with this game right here, with frickin' with this right here, with Advance Wars. I went ahead and actually got the physical game and paid the little bit extra just for Advance Wars 1 and 2 Reboot Camp. So yeah, no. There's just, I'm not thrilled with the way the Switch 2 games are already starting off. I am not thrilled in the least. Here's what I will say though. I don't know what to think of this truck. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to introduce you to the Slate, a $20,000 American-made electric pickup truck that is as bare basic pickup truck as it gets. No paint, bare basic audio, no infotainment screen, just an LCD to show you your battery life and your speed, not even a great towing capacity, a decent payload, and its sole purpose is to be dirt cheap and modular. There's already people talking about converting these into SUVs, into hatchbacks, into all kinds of various little add-ons just because it's a cheap little pickup truck. Here's the thing that infuriates me though. This cheap, cute little thing that is actually more pickup truck than the Cybertruck, despite the fact that the Cybertruck could actually haul one of these little things, it is not going to actually be sold in the US. Someone in chat asked, why not get a Ford Maverick instead of this? Because the Ford Maverick costs 50% more, runs on gasoline, and actually has a worse payload. Granted, you don't have much of a choice because this little thing's not going to be sold in the US, despite being made in the US. Why? I don't know. I wouldn't mind seeing these sell in the US. I would rather see these on the road than the frickin' Cybertruck. But of course, there's just this mentality that, oh, Americans don't want anything small. They just want big, thick, get out of my way trucks. Yeah, that's why the road is littered with Priuses. Nailed it. Yeah, the F-150 is the most selling vehicle in the US. That doesn't mean everyone wants to drive an F-150. Someone in chat says it's because every auto manufacturer in the US will raise bleep over this being half the price of a brand new bare bones pickup truck. I mean, there is that. But I also want to point out a bare bones pickup truck is just, it is shocking how much is on. A bare bones pickup truck is almost a joke because you almost have to get into like class 3, class 4, class 5 pickup trucks. Actually, there's no class 5 pickup trucks, but class 4 pickup trucks, class 3s, class 2Bs even, to even see a true bare bones pickup truck. Because what the F-150 and its kind of pickup truck is when bare bones still has a metric ton of frills compared to an actual bare bones pickup truck. Heck, you go ahead and have you go ahead and have a guy who says, oh, I'm so used to bare bones pickup trucks, and then put them in a real truck, an actual bare bones work truck. They're going to be stunned, absolutely stunned at what real bare bones looks like. First off, they're going to have to learn how to drive manual very, very quickly. Someone in chat says that there's a regulation that prevents trucks from being sold like this in the US. That is very possible. I don't know if there is. I don't know what those manufacturers, what those regulations would be. But I still would not mind seeing a version like this that is US road legal. Just because I know there is a market out there for an actual real bare bones cheap truck to just go ahead and do basic work. Because like I said, if you wanted to go ahead and get a farm truck or something that actually just does basic work, by God, you are looking at 45 grand easy. Could have gotten 2 of these for that price. Someone in chat says people are trying to get Japanese K trucks to be sold in the US, but it's illegal to sell. all right, it's illegal to sell here because they're built for Japanese roads, and there's a lot of safety features that are not present in a K truck that is actually required here in the US, on top of the fact that they're right-hand drive. Like, there's a lot of reasons. Just because the K truck is illegal to sell here does not mean that the Slate here falls in the same pitfalls. One is built for the Japanese truck market. One is built, and the other is built here in the US. Like, they don't have to go ahead and cross any sort of language barrier or any sort of culture barrier to go ahead and comply with regulations. The regulations are down the street. So just because Japanese K trucks cannot be sold in the US does not mean there's no reason the Slate truck can be sold here in the US. You can bring the compliance to it. Actually, the only thing I can think of that would stop the and this is just off the top of my head. I am not an expert in these sort of things at all, but I do know of one regulation that would stop this truck from being sold in the US. And it is a regulation that requires all brand new vehicles to have a backup camera. And because there is no screen for the infotainment system, you can almost guarantee there's no backup camera. Someone else in chat says what probably stops it is the crash rating mandates. I hate to be the guy to say this. I hate to be the guy to say this. That didn't stop Tesla. But all right, let's get out of the world of theoreticals and let's actually get back to the world of reality. We don't know if there is any reason that it's not being sold here in the US or anything that is prohibiting it from being sold in the US. I think it could very well be sold in the US with a few modifications, but currently it is designed to be sold overseas, which is a problem for it because a lot of countries have tariffs against us even before we went to a tariff war. So I wish them luck is basically all I can truly say. I think they should and probably are looking at some way to get it sold here in the US, just because there's a market for any kind of cheap vehicles nowadays. Good Lord. Remember shortly after COVID, there was a shortage of vehicles and even used vehicles were going for like way above what new prices were. Holy smokes. That was awful, man. And finally, we get to the last burb, the last story of the day, the weirdest story of the week. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you literal, not figurative, literal spaghetti code. An MIT engineer has gone ahead and used a flexible material that is as thin as possible and woven together as strands of spaghetti to create flexible, nearly indestructible computer chips. Ladies and gentlemen, we have made Final Fantasy XIV a reality. We have found the chips that run the servers. It is actual, literal spaghetti. Now, I'm not going to lie. Sometimes it is very obvious when you find these sort of research papers that come up with some kind of crazy thing, like a diesel fuel made up of cow farts, or I made that one up, by the way, or like the mushroom that can think and take over the world. Like, you can find some use case for these. I don't know what the use case is for flexible silicon other than literally having a tablet computer that you can roll up like a newspaper and thwack your significant other with when they say something stupid. At least with this technology, we can bring that back to life. We can bring back that time-old tradition. Folks, that is going to do it for this episode of Eagle Eyes on Tech. Thank you so much for listening. And I do encourage you to check out my other works, youtube.com/EagleFalcon and twitch.tv/EagleFalcon. Take care, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye. as soon as I finished talking about the last burb, chat immediately started going, what about clothing? What about programmable clothing? What if we weave these chips into clothing? Have you worked with a smart TV lately? Do you really want smart clothes? Do you really want to go ahead and have smart pants? Do you really want the same frustration trying to go ahead and change your TV to HDMI 2 and have that to operate getting your pants off to go to the bathroom? Oh God, no. No. You foolish fools. You do not want smart clothing. Smart devices are the dumbest thing that we have to this day. Second only to AI clothing. Oh God, we're going to have AI clothing. Ugh. Hey, how do I join the Amish?